all motherfucking day.
All motherfucking day.
Yeah, we are here with Chris Barretto.
What's up, y'all?
He is from Monuments, and Monuments,
Yes, sir.
aside from Chris being from here, is actually not from here. So we got one question we got to get out of the way.
What's that, man?
How's life for you right now? All music, headache metal aside, how's life?
Like the big picture of life.
Big picture.
No complaints, man. It's life.
Yeah.
It's a bit up, it's a bit down, it's a bit left, it's a bit right. It's a little bit to the right now, but it's cool. No complaints.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now you guys, you've done Europe, plenty of shows. You've done, I believe, Eurowest. You did.
Yep.
Did you do Tech Fest too?
We actually just did Tech Fest this year.
Right. Now, how does it compare to coming home to the States? From your personal opinion.
It's very different. The thing is, it's in Europe, we seem to be a little bit higher up on the proverbial totem pole, so to
Right.
speak. So over there, we get a lot more, I suppose, a little more pampering is the word to use.
Right.
Nicer backstages, better riders, and there's a little bit more of a general sense of comfort that is, it's awesome. Like you really appreciate that kind of stuff. And then we get here to the States, and it's kind of like we have to rebuild ourselves because this is our first time ever being here. So we go back to back to square one. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200, and
Right.
it's a little bit more of a rougher thing. So in that respect, it's just literally kind of starting from the base point where you would normally start if you were, I guess doing it like a few years ago or something.
Right.
So now that's probably the only big difference, is that we have to kind of take a step back to go 2 steps forward.
Yeah, now, is that an odd adjustment?
Yeah.
Being thrown into what you would think is a comfort zone. I guess you're a New Yorker. We're here in New York tonight. Gramercy.
Yeah.
And is it weird going? But I'm from here. I should be treated how we're treated overseas.
I mean, it's easy to think that way. I can certainly see why some people would, I suppose, expect a certain level of comfort. I'm not gonna lie, of course, I would love to be able to have that everywhere I went.
Right.
Make life great, but the truth is that it doesn't work that way. So you got to be able to take the punches and keep moving forward, so to speak. And so that's pretty much the attitude. It's definitely a lot more. It's a lot more taxing on the body, on the mind, on the musical aspiration or whatever you want to be for the road, because we don't have like a nice sleeper bus that we would have in Europe or something, or we don't have hotel rooms.
Right.
It's living out of the van, and we have a nice green room today, but this is because it's New York City, and this is a much better venue than we've been playing so far in the States. Not to say that the other places are anything less than what they prove themselves to be, but as far as what we're accustomed to, this is a little bit more on the level, so to speak.
Right.
So now, being here is, it's just making sure that you have that strong will and that strong mind to know that it's not always going to be great,
Right. Now, I had the privilege of being able to see you guys yesterday. Also.
Yes, you did.
We were also in New York. Now today, got a much bigger stage. Is the tour kind of mapped out like that, where you're not sure exactly how big or how small you're playing?
Yeah. The tour is kind of I guess, roller coaster.
Right.
Some days it might be like this, some days it ain't gonna be like this. You can find out with the Google and everything, but truth be told, I just kind of leave it to surprise.
Right.
And so I don't know what else really to expect. A lot of places that I haven't played, especially in Western Canada, that's actually a complete first for me. So it's really whatever is in store in the cards.
Cool. Now you guys just dropped your new record here in America. It was out for a little while overseas, but
Yep.
Now you have a lot to do with that record. Being it's your first Monument.
It is my first Monument.
But as far as the lyrical ideas and the theme of the album, I hear you're pretty much the creator of all of it.
That all comes from my
No
mind
creator
brain.
pun intended, but
maybe.
But if you can give us a brief summary on how the story go, how did it come to mind?
So what happened was that when I sat down to write the lyrics, I didn't want to do something that was just contrived and came from this well, let's do some Wikipedia searching, let's do some Google searching, let's find some cool topics and read up about it and just try and write some cool shit. I don't know how other people go about writing their lyrics. I know there's way more personal ways to do it. For me, I kind of like to find this middle ground between somewhere that's completely just heartfelt and I suppose raw, but then also a little bit eloquent, a little bit sophisticated, maybe change the change the terminology a bit. I definitely thesaurus.com is a great tool.
Yeah.
But with this one, I wanted to do something just different in general. I wanted to connect something deeper, and because the thing is that there's some multi-layered concepts that have to do a little bit with like Eastern mysticism. Because going into the band, I know the guys were into that already, and so I kind of want to honor that sort of spirit, but at the same time make it my own. And so the whole thing is that like one of the things that we really fell in love with was the idea of the samsara cycle, which is the Buddhist and a few other Eastern religions view on the cycle of like life, death, rebirth, etc., etc. That whole chestnut. So rather than just directly talk about the samsara cycle, what I did is that I used the word samsara and I made it a play on the word itself, and I devised a fictitious story based on the lives of two characters named Sam and Sarah. And so basically the record is the journey of Sam progressing from song to song or chapter to chapter, and you just basically see him become who he's meant to be. It's really your classic hero tale, realizing your destiny, and all throughout the record, he gets tested. He goes through different trials and tribulations. Sarah comes to him in like certain points and is like very pivotal in his development as a soul, as a human being, and becoming who he's meant to be. And then by the time you get to the end of the record, you recognize how the story goes full circle. And then the record itself literally loops, and so it also then honors that samsara thing again. Because it's more of a frozen time circle, a time loop, if you will. It's just this singular universe that forever repeats itself. And oh wow, both our phones went off at the same time. Cycles, and so basically the record connects itself from beginning to end. Conceptually as well as musically, because then there's this bell that rings out on the last song that rings out in B flat, and then the first song starts in the key of B flat, and so it's all meant to be symbolic of the representation of that everything is connected, everything cycles on itself. Even though this is a little bit more of a further spin-off than the actual like life, death, rebirth thing. It's like I said, that time loop thing. But it still plays to the whole cycle aspect of life, and just all the crazy shit that goes along with it.
That's extremely deep.
It gets super fucking deep, man. Like each chapter is like this whole thing, and I'm actually starting to write. Well, I wouldn't claim it as a book or anything, but like at the very least a short story.
Okay.
So like maybe like 10 pages. If I can make it longer, I really want to, but I mean, it's my first. The whole thing is that this is my first attempt at writing something like that. I've never done that before, and so like, at first it was just something for lyrical themes. But then like, I love stories, and anything that just has a great story to it has my interest almost immediately. And so by writing something that, or at least attempting to write something that had that depth, that like all the things that inspired me, I just wanted to do my best to try and do that myself. So that's my attempt, and this is my attempt to actually get deeper into the story that was behind the lyrics. And so I'm gonna like try and write that out, and my plan is that I'm going to be releasing it to all the wonderful people out there, and they can enjoy the concept behind the record as well as the lyrics, and have a further understanding of what's actually going on.
Now I saw you post on Facebook talking about actually having a lyrical release for the album.
That's right.
Crowdfunding.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Well, my initial thing was that I was going to invest in it myself, because I was very sad that I didn't get a chance to release the lyrics with the record, and I know personally I hate lyrics, or I hate records without lyrics. It's like, it drives me nuts. So I had seen that there was a lot of fan outcry about that, and I totally understand, and I apologize. I wish that was my sole call, because there would have been. But, things happen, and so to remedy the situation, I want to do that for everybody. I wanted to give them the lyrics, not only the lyrics, and then, the story, like I just said.
Right.
But the response was so big, and, I mean, not only just on, like, the post itself on Facebook, but then, like, I got a lot of inbox messages as well of people being like, man, I would love to support, I'd love to contribute, so the possibility of crowdfunding is there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see how it happens. Once the touring dies down a little bit and the story gets, I guess, further developed, or to at least to some sort of releasable stage, because it seems like it's ever growing in my imagination. But when it gets to that point, it's something I'm definitely going to be, either way, whether it's crowdfunded or out of my own pocket, it's happening. That's all that really matters.
Cool. um, writing like this in such a style, do you plan on continuing it? Like maybe new album comes out, another story happens, another chapter.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I'm finding that like there's certain days where my imagination it just feels like it's kind of like you just I don't know, like you just have those really inspired moments,
Right.
and it just feels like it's coming from somewhere else. It's almost like I'm not even writing it. It's like I'm transcribing it from something else, and like those days are fucking special because it's like it feels amazing, and to be able to like let my imagination loose like that, like basically just being a kid and pretending to like I'm watching a movie in my own head and like seeing what I would want to see, like twists, turns, love, hate, death, life, all the extremes that we experience on the day-to-day basis. That to put it into the context of something that is like just some wonderful thing that plays on the imagination. Like I'm super getting into it, and I already have an idea that connects. I could use it for a next record. I could use it for another story. It doesn't matter. But I already have a different idea that I want to do further down the line that is related to this story cycle, but it plays on a different character within the story, and it's a really deep thing in and of itself too.
Awesome. We love
Yeah.
the deep stuff.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Now you're the newer vocalist. I believe with Monuments, there's been so many vocal changes.
Well, three vocalists technically before me. No, four vocalists technically before me. Long ago, there was the old combination of Nima and our good buddy Khan, and then it was Nima and Greg, and then they left, and then it was Matt before me, and now here I am.
Now Matt put out the record.
Yes.
We have We Are the Foundation, I believe.
That's
from
Nima
back
and
in the
Greg.
day. Nima and Greg on that. Matt releases Gnosis.
Yep.
Now you guys are doing a lot of Gnosis songs live, just to keep it relevant.
Yeah.
A lot of people like that.
It's actually pretty split down the middle.
Is it challenging though to fill someone's shoes in that situation?
I'm no stranger to that situation.
Right.
Yeah. It's been a thing with my career, and so at this point it's just pretty easy, because it's not like it's even stepping into shoes. It's as a musician, it's never been a thing to learn music because first of all, that's just what it is. It's just tunes, and it's just melodies. But the thing about like growing up as a musician is that you play music that's not always yours, obviously, because there's a whole repertoire and catalog of tunes that have existed for 50, tens, hundreds of years, and you play those tunes and you learn to interpret things your own way. And so that mindset transcends into this outlet because I definitely stick to the tune, so to speak, but then I've done a lot of stuff that I've made my own adjustments on and made it my own.
Right.
And so, I have fun with it, At the end of the day, that's all you have to do. It's like, you got to learn the tune, respect the tune, but then once you're, like, really comfortable with it, when you're nailing it, then you have some fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. I see you get the crowd crazy into it recently.
I try.
We had everybody in the venue last night taking a knee, and there is not one person in the
My
venue.
Jedi mind tricks.
Everybody was on it. They took a knee. No one had any discrepancies with that.
There was a guy in the front row, too, bless his heart, that he had, like, a leg cast on, too, and he was like, I can't get down. My leg is fucked up. And I saw his leg, but I was like, dude, look at my foot, man. I'm doing this shit. You're doing it, too. Just don't go crazy. Don't hurt yourself. So he got down. So, yeah, fucking, it's all about connecting. And kind of like the Jedi mind trick thing, because it's actually kind of true. I started doing it in Russia last year, and it's just followed me ever since. And it's getting a little bit easier and easier just because, like, the energy you put out there, I feel like people want that energy anyway.
Right.
And they want to connect with something like that. They want an experience. I know I do when I go to a show.
Right, definitely.
And if there's that void, if there's that need, then, my job is to fucking fill it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So that's what I do.
Cool, nice. I also saw you on stage helping out Glass Cloud for a little bit.
Yep.
I loved that one. That was cool.
It was a good time.
Do you guys do that every show?
We've been doing it for the past few shows, so.
What is this? Today is the 5th day?
Today is the 4th or the 5th day.
4th or 5th day?
No, it's the 5th day. Yeah, 5th day.
Right. And how many more in this specific tour itself? Like estimated number. I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
I don't want to say. I don't know, and I don't want to know. There's a lot.
Yeah. Now you guys are going to be here for a while, though.
Yeah.
Specifically North America. You said you're going to touch Canada.
Yes.
After that, it's little hiatus. For a couple months maybe.
No, not even. Just like a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks, and then we hit the road again. We're also scheduled later on in the year to hit the road with After the Burial and Dead Letter Circus, our boys.
Cool.
And then we'll be doing the Euroblast thing again. And then we're not confirmed yet, but Russia is on the table once more.
Okay.
So hopefully that does get confirmed because Russia was great. And there's actually some other stuff in the talks right now, but it's really early stages. So I mean, it would be fucking amazing if it goes through those. So fingers crossed that it does.
Cool. We
I
like
wish I
secrets
could say.
here. We always get a bunch of secrets.
I wish I could say
that we don't get told. So suspense is always a good thing at Washed Up Media. Now for the fan favorite question is
Yes.
everybody loves the sax.
Everybody does love the sax. It seems
the sax feedback is crazy. Everybody, is it something that you love going out there doing like all the time, especially combining it in a genre that's so foreign to it. Now it's not that sax playing is becoming almost accepted in metal. It's Chris Barretto sax playing. We hear it in a lot of spots nowadays.
I like that. Not gonna lie, that makes my ego tingle very nicely. But the truth is that as a kid, it's always been a dream of mine to intermix. More specifically, I guess, jazz and metal.
Right.
I grew up in a jazz atmosphere. My father was a jazz musician.
Okay.
And it's always just been a dream, man, to pull out the saxophone and, rip it on some fucking heavy shit. And so, in the past few years, it's become a little bit more of a thing. My band, Ever Forthright, we do that a lot. Improvisation is a big thing. And I did it on the Tesseract record.
Right.
And that was so much fun to do because it was, a little bit more of, a soundscape palette. And it was just this chance to just go. And I mean, whatever it is, man, it's just all about reinterpreting music, reinterpreting tunes, reimagining the way that sound is meant to be heard. And it doesn't matter if it's metal or polka or fucking hip hop or whatever, man. If there's a will, there's a way. And in this sense, there's definitely a will on my part, so I'm gonna find a way.
You were doing some sax stuff with Monuments before you were in the band.
I
correct?
was. We did it live together when I was filling in for the Heart Machine, and we still do some stuff. In this time, we haven't had enough time really, so I've kind of left it out for this run. But it's definitely going to make a comeback in the future.
Cool. We always anticipate the sax stuff. It's great. People eat it up. Now, just a random one to throw out. What are you having fun most doing live? Which song of the set list right now?
I mean, Regenerate is always great because of the crowd thing.
Right.
Atlas is really fun to sing though.
Yeah.
That's it's pretty much like a funk tune, just with some super fucking.
It does have that real groovy vibe.
Yeah, I really just get my MJ on, and
I hear a lot of Michael Jackson comparisons, and it's the staccato-ness, the real, you do have the MJ touch on the mic.
I appreciate that.
And
Thank you very much.
it's really, really well received too. You'd expect a bunch of grown man metal dudes not to care, but everybody loves it. It's a really cool thing to hear.
I'm glad people appreciate that, man. I grew up with Michael Jackson. He's been a fucking hero of mine for
Hell yeah.
years. And the thing is, if you're gonna sound like somebody, if you're gonna take influence from anybody, take from the best. Is
Right.
what I say. And for me, there's also the thing too that there's a lot of vocalists out there in our particular field that we have sounds, so to speak. Spencer has his sound,
Right.
Dan Tompkins has his sound
Right.
before him or after him, whichever way you want to call it. Ash has his own sound.
Right.
Rhodey from Protest has his own sound.
Right.
So there's a lot of ways to go with it, and for me, it's I have to be self-analytical. At the end of the day, it's well, what do I want to accomplish as a musician, and what sound am I more capable of doing to that first of all is honest and true to myself, but then at the same time, brings a little bit of a different vibe.
Right.
And so, I just kind of let myself fall back on that influence because that was such a big part of my writing, and I just love the way he writes vocal lines and harmonies and melodies and all of that stuff. And so, I just really just let it come out. And I'm glad that people like it. I was even willing to be tough guys be damned, I know it's not traditional metal. I know it's not it's not the stuff that came from before. But, that's the whole point about not just metal, about music. Is just it's moving forward, You can't go backwards. And, just being able to do something that feels so good and feels just so right, because that sound does feel very comfortable, feels very right, and it's very freeing as well to like really just like sit in that pocket in my mind, so to speak, and just like let it rock. That's fun, man. That's a lot of fun, and that's what I really like to do.
It's definitely awesome.
Thank you.
I know this is a Monuments tour, but you got another big band, Ever Forthright.
I don't know if it's big or not, but I do have another band.
Yes, Ever Forthright. We know we know you guys.
That's all that matters to me, man.
We know you guys.
Fuck yeah.
So what are you guys doing as far as Ever Forthright's going right now?
Ever Forthright is alive and well. Just doing a lot of touring right now with Monuments, so that's kind of like the focus at the minute. There's a lot of stuff in the vault. Nick has a lot of shit written that he's done with Kevin, and so they have tons of material back home. It's really just when I get some more time to come off and like come back and lay some vocals down that will definitely, I mean, obviously put out a new record, but then also like mix and match new ways to go about like bringing the sound to a new level, because you know they've been doing their other thing, Stimpy Lockjaw, which is very, very improvisational based. And if you haven't heard that stuff, check it out immediately. It's fucking sick. And that's like, it really shows the depth of how Nick and Kevin get into each other in terms of not only writing but soloing. And so like to combine that element with Ever Forthright, to take it even deeper when we were before, even more extreme, even more night and day, so to speak, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so yeah, we're just gonna see what happens, man.
Cool.
Should be hopefully coming something like next year.
Cool. Sounds good. For those of you that haven't grabbed the new record, I suggest do it. It just came out in America, so us Americans don't really have an excuse to not have it. But definitely check them out if they come to your area on tour, and if not, you kind of suck. Washed Up Media all motherfucking day.
Washed Up Media, motherfuckers. See you next time.